All right, y'all. Welcome to the Savage Mountain Podcast, where we have unfamiliar conversations with familiar faces, or slightly thereof. You mix it up where you have familiar conversation with unfamiliar faces. This show is brought to you by NeoFit, Neo Life, Physical Therapy and Wellness, and Neo Golf. Get your short game up. I am here today with Kenneth Paxton and Dr. Tyler Hughes. We're going to bounce around with this conversation throughout, try to make it fluid and organic as possible. I'm going to refrain from saying as much, but while we get started, I know you very well, Tyler. Yeah. And you are a great friend. You're an incredible therapist, but you're an even better human. So a lot of people don't have the privy of knowing you as well as I do. I would like for you to introduce yourself to the world and give them your origin story that led you on this path.
Well, appreciate the kind words. Man, like I said, my name's Tyler Hughes. First off, I'd like to say I'm a child of God, man. And I'm a husband next. I'm, by the grace of God, here today because you're a good friend of mine and I love and trust you, man. And, I've been blessed in many ways in my life, but made it through, got accepted into a physical therapy program in Florida, and 3 years later they give you some titles. And so again, I guess, call me what you want, but I've been a therapist for about 8 years now, and like I said, we work together, and it's a blessing getting to know you and sharing some life and trying to help people out in the best way we could. But anyway, that's where I'm at. Yeah.
So you're at. So we'll have some fun here. And time, but then we got to keep the main thing, talking about the importance that is of taking care of your chickens, right?
Yeah.
And so the mental game is strong. Now I'm gonna jump toward KC, Kenneth, an athletic phenom in my opinion, my humble opinion. So your origin story, what led you on a path of being the incredible human that you are?
Like Quan said, I'm Kenneth Paxton. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. So growing up there, you see a lot of crazy things, and, you also don't come from much. So as I grew up, I started to broaden my horizon when I moved to Mississippi and meet different people and learn more things, and got to actually, experience different things that I would being up there. And I got to, found my love here.
Yeah.
My love is in training, dog training.
Mm-hmm.
That's my passion. That's what I love to do. And I got to meet Quan, he creating this great movement, Savage Mountain.
Thank
and
you, man.
It kind of pushed me, to be the better version of myself.
And the reason, because like from afar, people are like, man, what is Kenneth Paxton and Tyler Hughes, what do they have in common? It's just y'all have like the will and drive for discovery. Your path is very similar to mine because it's like where we come from, people don't do what we do.
The things we do, yeah.
You
exactly.
don't dog train unless you're fighting them, unless that's how I grew up. That's how I found my love for Christ. The first time a Bible was stuck in my hand, I was not knee deep, but I was amongst blood and trench concrete because the day prior, my cousins and them, they fought dogs. Like, That's what we did. So, like, Bible study, the day on Sunday was there, Sunday morning, Saturday evening, Saturday, fighting dogs, Yeah. And with you is just like, from an athletic standpoint, the discovery of like how to help humans. At the end of the day, you just like good people helping good people, and the ability to connect creates culture.
Yeah.
And that connectivity there, where they're not viewing you as a doctor, they're viewing you as Tyler, and you're not viewing them as the next project or the next protocol. You're viewing them as a person, someone, something that's that's being vulnerable, saying, help me.
Yeah.
And you have those tools to help. So again, like that's the purpose of me having y'all two together, 'cause y'all are two incredible people that just want to discover the better version of what we can be as people, and then also just for you to just want to help humans.
For sure.
You know, show humanity. So with that being said, how would you want to build on that discovery of like just want to help humans?
It's been a process. It's been some work, but also too, some backstory, and again, like everybody's unique experience of this life is unique to themselves. And again, for whatever I say in the next 20, 30 minutes, however long this podcast may be, having some kind of context as to what is the human person, not the title. It does matter to an extent. So I guess, looking back to start of things, man, I guess my story is a good story of, man, coming from a whole lot, coming from something that, almost looks like out of a damn magazine. Like my father was in the Army. He was an officer in the Army. And we bounced around, lived the military lifestyle for, the first 9 years, 8 months of my life. We lived in Germany, new places every 2 years. Kind of got used to being like the new kid in class, be like, pick up, go, whatever it may be.
Too.
And so, like you learn to make new friends, but also too, you learn to like kind of say goodbye in certain ways. And that was a sense of normalcy, right? At about 9 years, 8 months, like I said, my dad, he died in a tragic, or just an accident. He was doing something he loved. He liked to deer hunt. Fell one day, didn't make it past the next. And so it was something that was a big crack in our foundation as a family. And again, we go from, what USAA is, like the military, like insurance and everything. We looked like the damn family out the magazine. We had the 2 Labradors. We had mom, the dad, everything here together. And so, man, like I said, everything was good. Blessings, blessings of life that I could never, even imagine. 3 months later, his dad died and my grandfather died. Again, old people get old. That's one thing that we, in this business, you kind of come to realize it's important. It's the only thing guaranteed with this life. And again, it happens. A year and a half later, the last living grandparent that we had in our family, she passed away. Strong woman, crazy little Italian lady from New Orleans. That's where most of my family's from, and whatnot. Yes, and it was interesting to see how strong her influence was, because her husband died whenever my mom was 3, and then my dad's mom died of an aneurysm when he was like 19. So it was like our story was a bunch of just like nobody grew old, nobody got sick, nobody was chronically ill. They were good, strong people, connected in certain areas, but they were there one day, gone the next. And so as a young man, 9 years to 13, it got, it was like, is that what's next? Is that what happens? Then freshman year of high school, I guess 14, something like that, Hurricane Katrina comes. And so, and again, backstory, this stuff happens, but then all of a sudden we move down here. We get some money from some settlement. I don't even know how, from my dad passing away. We're living in the nicest house we ever lived in, but it's fucking empty, really. You know what I mean? It's something like it's not all the way there. It's not whole, but it's like we have nice things, whatever. Long story short, 2-3 years later, Hurricane Katrina comes, 11 feet of water through it, is what it is. And again, it was something. We all had to endure it. My mom, my brother, the same. I think a year after that, my aunt, that was my dad's sister, we got close to, Aunt Becky. She was a G. She was a very spiritual woman, very independent, wonderful one. She killed herself. She had terminal cancer, this, that, and the third. She was about, and so it was just like, man, all these people that you kind of get close to, they're here and then they're gone, they're here and then they're gone. And then this house that we got that was supposed to make things better, because now we got a damn pool, which we never had a pool before. And again, looking on the outside, I can look a certain way. I can, have my hair. I went to a private school. I had these things. Indeed. But then all of a sudden, like, you see the repercussions of, what things transpired. And as a young, naive man, I thought, man, life is happening to me. Like, what is going on with this? Like, why does it continue to occur? Like, this, that, and the third. And again, I'm the younger of, I got an older brother. He's 36. I'm 33 now. And that could have been a D1 football freak. He was 6'2" and a half naturally, this freaking wide, 240, 250. When my dad passed, he kind of gave up all the sports. And I kind of went the exact opposite in so many reactions. I went and I just buried my stuff in the stuff that my dad was, part of, the outdoors, fishing, sports. He was always the dude out there running sprints with the kids. Here we go, military man. Yeah. Could do it all, do all these things. Long story short, these things happen, they transgress. by the time I graduated high school, the bank's taking our house. My mom's she had to say, hey, stop inviting people over. We don't have groceries. And I'm like, what do you mean groceries? Like, I thought we were always good, like what it is. And she's like, we're in a spot that, and again, in a stupid freaking scenario, I inherited money from my grandpa passing this, that, and a third, $30K. It didn't sniff it. It didn't make anything better. I'm like, damn, how bad off are we? Upside down and backwards. And so by the time 19, that was technically 2 houses that the bank took. My mom in a very, very bad spot, lived a life of she was super, super depressed. My brother learned to make ends meet as a young man would, sold tons of drugs.
Yeah.
And, made things work, but I saw it. I was, he kept it from me, honestly, until I was like 18. But I always, I heard all the stories. He'd beat people up. He'd come home all bloody. He almost got kicked out of Stanislaus, and that was the school that you go get kicked out and sent to. And then he was about to, like, one step from either getting his GED or military school, whatever it may be. Yeah. And so it was just like, man, this is so wild. Because, again, we had this damn magazine family.
Yeah.
And then on the back end of it, just like 8 years later, 6 years later, time happens quick, right? And so, long story short, seeing both sides of what this, what life can be, it helps me relate with people. And if you can't relate with individuals, then, it's hard to understand where they're at and where they come from. But one common theme that, again, I got used to somewhat feeling, and again, not feeling sorry for myself, I've turned that mindset around a whole lot through the grace of God and our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen. Yeah. But it's been something that it's taken work, man. And it's taken the journey, it's taken the path. Like I said, I would throw myself at things. I'd throw myself at sports for my teammates, for anybody else but me. Again, there were some cracks in this foundation that I couldn't see, I couldn't measure. There was no MRI scan or no x-ray that could really kind of quantify what this is. Like, what is going on? Like, something ain't right, but he's all right. He looks the part. He's a young little white dude. He's got his hair a certain way. He's fit. He's doing this. He makes the grades. He does everything the coaches tell him. What is this? But on the inside,
they don't know what's on the inside.
That's exactly right.
Yes,
and that's for kind of you and God and whatever someone may believe in. But I know who my God is. Like, for you to kind of decipher and kind of work through yourself. And so, being on two sides of it, and then physically in college, I was blessed. I was able to go play college baseball for 2 years. In the process, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I like to fish, like I told you, so I picked biology. Yeah. Had no idea it was pre-med, pre-pharmacy, pre-physical therapy. Had no dream of anything in the future. I think my dad's GI Bill, that's how I went to school. And again, like, by the grace of God, again, we didn't have the money. We didn't have, and again, I'm in this college preparatory school, and everybody's rich around me. All my friends are freaking millionaires, and like, not all of them, but like a bunch of them, and I'm just seeing a life that's just like, it ain't like this when I go home. Again, you can kind of see what it is, but man, don't answer the phone. I was like, why don't I answer the phone, Ma? What is that? This is our creditors calling. And then until she kind of broke that down for me, I was like, oh, damn, okay, things are real. Long story short, went to college. Not a productive college baseball career, but a fruitful one, just because I got injured more than I ever did in high school, man. One thing after another. I was too good of friends with the trainer. Coach was like, dude, what's your problem? I'm like, I don't know. I just keep playing hard, and I separated this shoulder, tore this rotator cuff, jacked my wrist up, back, hips, whatever. So I was doing a lot of rehab, and she was Jordan Blow. She's a G. She was like, you should think about like therapy. You ever think about it? I was like, no. She goes, what's your major in? Biology. She goes, perfect. I think you got all the classes. I said, all right, let's kind of like keep going. And I had other influences in my life too. The girlfriend I was dating at the time, she was on the path of like healthcare and like kind of leaning on her, seeing what she's doing. I'm like, I don't know how to do this shit. None of my family's ever done this. Like, whatever it may be. So getting through that process and falling apart playing baseball kind of led me to physical therapy a little bit. But it was almost always like the next thing. Like, all right, get through college, see what do as good as you can. Do the work. I don't know why, but do the work. Then that's coming to an end. All right, now I got to throw myself in PT school, whatever it may be. But there was, and again, I'll quit ranting and get to the point in a second. Yeah. But one of the biggest injuries that I had that I was blindsided by was a heart condition. I found out while I was at UNO. I had no idea about it. It started hitting me. I was like, and again, we didn't have the money to be going to doctors. I didn't have the money to go to showcases, stuff like this, whatever it may be. And I started like feeling like wild things. And I started feeling like, you know, my heart would start racing. And I was like, weird, whatever, and just keep working. I'm probably drinking too much or partying, doing the college thing too hard, going to practice, whatever it may be. And so it started probably like 7 months prior before it got bad. And then it would sometimes happen once a month. Sometimes it happened 3 times a week. Couldn't really kind of put a finger on it, whatever it may be. Long story short, it progressed and progressed and progressed to where it was almost like once a week I could count on it, like going nuts. And so sometimes it would just start spasming for about 30 seconds. Sometimes it'd be about 5 to 6 minutes. And after it got past about 4 minutes, you start getting dizzy. You start kind of like, I would have to like brace myself, like catch breath. And I'm like, man, is this a heart attack? What is this? I don't know. And so
You're too young for that.
Right? That's what everybody says.
Yeah,
oh, you're too young. You're 22. What do you mean? There's a heart thing. I'm like, I guess so. I don't know. And so, dude, I was, again, like, didn't know what it was. It had the worst time it happened was I was at batting practice at UNL. Took a swing. Probably hit 2 buckets of balls before then. Took a swing and I started. And my shirt started doing this. And it wouldn't stop. I felt it. I was like, all right, it's going to pass. I kind of like braced myself on the bat because sometimes if I could just kind of breathe, it'd kind of pass. And it didn't. And it was like 3 minutes. And the dude pitching to me was like, dude, Blake LeBlanc, appreciate you, man. Because he was like, dude, you got to get this shit checked out. But anyway, long story short, he goes, you good? And I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, you're breathing hard. I'm like, I know. And then he goes, what's that? And I was like, that's my shirt doing this. Like, I don't know. And so, man, he kind of freaked out for me, went and got the trainer, Jordan, this, that, and the third. And she was like, this ain't normal. How long has this been going on? I was like, yeah, it's been going on for a little while, not just today. That expedited, and again, like being part of the baseball team, they got me into the doctor the next day, or like I was in the evening. I went to the cardiologist at Austin in New Orleans the next day, and it was they got me in quick. That doctor appointment took the EKG, did an echo, did a few other things, hooked me up to the leads, and it was like, I don't know what this is, but it ain't right, and it ain't normal. So I'm like, what you mean it's not normal? I thought it was just I was drinking too much coffee. I thought I was eating shit. I thought I was like partying, drinking too much, eating Wendy's every day. Not being, being the college baseball player, but not kind of being the other side of things, right?
Yeah.
Doing whatever. So I was like, surely it's just something like that. He said he didn't know. I said, oh, no. So we go to the cardiologist. Apparently I was born with something called Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. And so it's a syndrome.
Educate us.
So syndromes and disorders, they generally don't have an exact known cause or like, diagnosis is this is this. A syndrome's kind of shared characteristics or disorders. So you can see those in a lot of other different medical diagnoses where it's like, bipolar syndrome or, chronic pain syndrome or Wolff-Parkinson. So it was just like you have an erratic, ectopic, atrial heartbeat or like a pathway that my heart would just kind of short circuit on. That's how it was explained to me at the time. And I was like, what does that mean? He goes, you got some extra pieces of your heart for whatever reason. The conduction of your heart is conducted through your AV and your SA nodes. The specifics of that, I'll leave that to a cardiologist, but those are the two kind of like specialized nerve endings that keep that heart rate continuous because you don't tell your heart to beat. You're not going to say, hey, beat. Like a muscle, you can say, hey,
can do that,
I'm going to move my arm, I'm going to reach this, I'm going to do that. It's involuntary control. It's under that constant rhythm. So anyway, there was again, apparently some muscle pieces that were between the nodes that had short circuit on, and like, again, you never knew when it would happen. It was this, that, and the third. And so the recommended course of action was to do perform a cardiac ablation. So that's a procedure where they take these 2 leads. They go in through your femoral veins, so in your legs. That's where you get a lot of venous return from your legs back up into circulation. They go in through your legs. They feed them up through your, descending aorta back up into your heart. And again, I don't know I should know all the parts of the heart, but anyway.
It's all good, bro.
Back up into the parts. So you got one camera and you got one thing that kind of like cauterizes the extra pathways. And it was funny in PT school, this is where I'm learning this shit. I was like, I didn't, again, I was a jock baseball player. I was trying to do good in school, but didn't know what these things were. Long story short, it was one of the most terrifying experiences that I think, and again, not any fault to the doctor, not any fault to anything. It was the course of action that I needed to take, but I've never felt that vulnerable ever before in my life. So it was supposed to last anywhere from 45 minutes to 4 hours. It wound up taking about 5 hours and 15 minutes, 5 hours, 20 minutes. So you're not completely under. You're sedated because you need like your heart rhythm, this, that, and the third. Come to find out through PT school doing research, and actually I was on internship, I had access to my chart so I could read it all. I was like, oh shit, things were happening. So they do something called a EPS study, so they medically induce like a heart attack, and your heart just goes nuts. And they see where all the extra pathways can be, and then after they see where they might be, they go in and ablate it. So they kind of like cauterize it. So they go in and kind of with like a laser, I think, or some kind of device, find out where the pathway, but it's a trial and error type of thing. It's like they gotta see what it is. So anyway, long story short, Dr. Freddie, great doctor, helped me out a whole lot. And again, all these things, I'll tell you what I think they are after this. But he, come to find out, it wasn't doing what he wanted to, and so it was taking the procedure longer. After about 3 hours, the drugs wear off, and I'm in like a semi-lucid state for like the next 30 minutes or something. And I'm like talking to the nurse. I'm like, am I supposed to be awake? Am I supposed to be awake? And I kept lifting my head up. She goes, keep your head down, keep your head down. Well, another 30 minutes passed. I'm fully awake, and I'm like, and now I'm feeling shit. And so like, and again, you don't have a whole lot of nerve endings in your heart, but anyway, it felt wild. It felt just like warm water would kind of disperse through it. Didn't know what it felt, and I could tell the doctor was frustrated. Somebody kept knocking the camera the wrong way. He was going, yo, stop messing with the camera. Burn here, this, that, and the third. And I'm just strapped to the table.
Wide
open.
open.
All the screens, and I'm like fully here. I'm like, please put me out. Please put me out. And the lady, she's like, we can't give you any more drugs. This is it. I'm like, I feel it. I'm not supposed to feel it. She goes, it's okay, honey. Just breathe. Just breathe. Just breathe. Just breathe. Put your head back and just breathe. And in that moment, that's the only thing I could do. And it was like, my arms are tied. I'm in a spot. I want this to be done. But also, too, I want the procedure to go right. I don't want to, anyway, in the moment, I was like, never again. I don't want this to happen again. What is this? Anyway, long story short, procedure comes to an end. I've had some extra pathways on the left side of my heart. The left side of your heart carries oxygenated blood. The reason they go through the veins, that's deoxygenated blood. Oxygenated blood, to my understanding, could be wrong, world, correct me if I'm wrong, it has more of a higher chance of it clotting and throwing a stroke. So the reason why you don't want to go to the left side of your heart to do this procedure is you might have a higher chance of having a stroke. And again, I'm 21, 22 at the time. Young kid, you shouldn't have this problem. What's going on? This is like all our old patients.
Yeah.
They get this stuff. They're like, I'm going in for the procedure. I'm like, all right, God bless you. You know what I mean? I hope it goes well, whatever it may be. Long story short, procedure comes to an end. I'm white as a ghost. The nurse, she's just like holding my head. She's petting my head. Thank God. Whoever that nurse was, that helped. And but then they had to pull the damn things out of my legs. And so I'm like, do I have to be awake for this, that, and the third? And so, dude, they pull one out this way, and you feel it coming from inside you, wrong, feel it, right? And then they bring out the other one, this, that, and the third, and they finish me up. They bring me back to the recovery room. I had to stay the night in the hospital, and I remember my mom and aunt and uncle are in there, and they're just like, they said it was going long, and I was just like, I couldn't talk. I didn't have words.
Yeah.
I was just like, I need to be alone. I can't do this. I needed a second. So, long story short, the procedure, it was a success, in my opinion. It didn't happen nearly as frequently, but it would still happen. So, I still, to this day, can have certain episodes to where it goes a little nutty. Long story short, with that being said, and along with the other injuries that I had along the way, they're all blessings. Because that one moment, and that state of fear, uncertainty, anxiety, whatever you want to call it, it really kind of kicked my ass in a good direction to where it said, you know what? And I'm appreciative for the doctors that helped me out and that experience. And I'm appreciative for everything else that transpired to lead me there, because it was it forced me in a completely different direction. So the options on the table, beta blockers, other types of arrhythmic medication, and the doctor's like, you might need another 2 to 3 of these. And I was like, nah, man, I think I'm good on this one. But also too, I don't know. I had to surrender to that. But also too, I had to give it to God. But also too, I had to take accountability of that shit. So half the reason I did get into health and medicine and nutrition and conservative therapy and all the things is what can I do myself? Because that's what I wanted to do. After that moment, I wanted to take some accountability for this thing that view as now a gift from
Yeah.
God. And again, working with people helps you realize that. But so whether it was, you know, having that procedure done in the heart surgery, that was necessary, right? And that's a blessing. Whether it was, you know, getting injured other, you know, mechanical types of way through playing baseball, it was necessary. It was a blessing. Whether we needed our house to be foreclosed on and us to lose shit, it was necessary, and it was a blessing. Whether it was the passing of my dad, and I struggled for this for years, and I remember it was fucking necessary, and it was a blessing. And to this day, it took me till I was 32. I remember having the thought in my head, and I was like, I can't say that. And I can't say it. I might get a little emotional, but like, I cannot say that. But I'm grateful that he died now.
Oh, man.
Because the only way, I wouldn't be here having this conversation if it wouldn't be the case. And so surrendering myself to those thoughts, surrendering myself to God, Savior Jesus Christ, and actually like putting effort into that. Like, because I threw myself at every diet, the you know, Mediterranean diet, because it was heart healthy, keto, which Dr. Gundry, he had a big book that I read, and I dedicated myself to that. Then I found other different practices. Yoga, I dedicated myself to yoga. I religiously practiced yoga. I religiously practiced eating clean food. I religiously exercised. But I never really religiously put practice into my faith. And until I finally started doing that at 33 years old, 32 years old, I was in the same mind state. And as you might have said, like I also too, while I was here and an employee at this clinic, I lost my shit. I lost my marbles. I gave up. I was suicidal. I had to go to mental rehab here in Biloxi.
Yeah.
Bro, scared the shit out of me again. I was like, fuck, I'm tired of getting scared like that. But it is what it is. And so from the outside looking in, any person that's coming into the clinic, I know that they can look a certain way. I know that they can, present themselves in a nice, affluent way, and they got money, this is that. You can tell when somebody doesn't come from a whole lot, and you can kind of level, but you never really know what the fuck's going on from the inside out. And that's the things that matters, and that's the things that can transcend, and it's definitely possible. And so, like I said, surrender myself to something higher. It actually happened like this past year, and I'm recently married, having a family, getting married. Thank you, brother.
Yes,
Thank you,
indeed.
brother.
Congratulations.
All
man.
things that I never thought were possible to me, because I told myself these same things for a long time. I was like, oh, I'm gonna die early. Oh, now I got a heart issue. There ain't no way. I'm gonna like transcend, or and now I'm gonna abandon my kids like I was abandoned, because that's what's gonna happen. I was like, dude, shut the fuck up. Like that's not what's gonna happen. Like you're saying these things. That's the enemy, man. That's the other side of stuff. And until I like I said, started working my faith muscles and actually like, you know what, I'm going to read this damn book that I've been carrying around for 30-something years. And so I started reading the Bible. And I actually because again, I discredited it. I was not a good, I was a yogi dude for a super long time. And again, that's a blessing because, dude, it opened my mind to be like, this whole PT box that we get out of school, there's a whole nother world beyond it. And honestly, my spinal issues that I have, I'm thankful that I went down that road, because it really kind of, again, what I thought I knew was not correct, or what if I was just hanging my head on what I learned from school, I wouldn't have been able to fix the injuries that I fixed, or help myself to where I couldn't help other people in the same kind of way, or at least to be a vessel to give them some other information. Be like, hey, you can actually keep going on this. I know your prescription says 6 weeks for 3 times a week, and your orthopedic doctor said you were diagnosed with this, but it's just like, think about it a different way. Like think, you know what I mean? Open your mind to something different. Take some accountability, have some self-discipline, and respect yourself just as you respect others. Things can kind of shake out for you a little bit. And so, again,
you're human, man.
With some of that context, and I'll stop ranting a little
good,
bit, but
bro.
that's a little bit of a backstory on how I got to where I'm at here. And like I said, I start to look at all those things that ever happened.
Yeah.
They never happened at me. They happened with me. And now, those are absolute blessings that have allowed me to, see a patient come in the door and be like, man, I'm glad you're here, and really mean it. And I appreciate you. How are you? Leave it open and let them take it where they want to. And again, it might not even happen that visit. It might happen 3 weeks later. But actually, staying present for them is an important thing. And it's hard to operate in. And again, I'd get frustrated, man. I'd get pissed off. I'd be trying to run a clinic. I'd be trying to all right, I need to be a clinic director. I need to get to achieve a certain thing. I need to, get this certification. I need to do. no, bro, you need to chill the fuck out. You need to surrender to God and just do what you can and be right with yourself. And like I said, that can be a hard thing to do. And I learned that some of the hard way. So if I can spare somebody from learning some of those ways, and again, you have to learn it everybody's got to learn it for themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I've got the secret information. It's just like, but if I can help you not go to, you know, mental rehab or go to like some kind of way or crash or be suicidal, be ready to freaking off yourself. Like that's a real thing. And this world's different for young men growing up. And again, with, you know, sometimes we got cracked foundations. You can't see them. There's no MRI machine for it, but you can figure it out or decipher it as long as you're led in the right way through powerful examples like yourself, like Batchy back there.
Bad Batch.
Appreciate you. You know what I mean? Because everybody's a blessing, and if you can lean on, you know what I mean, the people you can, at least gives you a chance. But you still got to do the work. You still got to do the work.
Of course.
The work's important.
You again, man, you're a testament because it's like pretty white boy. You know
That's
what I'm saying? Like you look apart. And it's like you move and how you go about it, you free flowing, but it's so much more depth to you. So it's like that's why this conversation is very important, and you can jump in. What you got? What you got?
You know, listening to your story,
Yes,
kinda
indeed.
shows how we kind of, you know, similar. Because, you know, you saying losing people kind of helped you figure out the path that you wanted to go into. Kind of the same situation. You know, growing up, you know, I lost an uncle, maybe 9th grade.
Yeah.
And, you know, when we was younger, you know, he always told us knowledge is power.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. I always wanted to, you know, give us knowledge about why certain holidays is certain holidays and things like that. So when I lost him, a lot of things that he spoke to us about would play in my head over and over and over and over. And I got to thinking about it, and it's like, I want to make him proud.
Yeah.
So I kind of, you know, I pushed myself, made sure I graduated, you know, high school, wanted to go to college because I know that's something that he wanted us to do. So I went to college. It wasn't all the way for me. I made it to my junior year. Good. You know, I made it to my junior year. So after that, you know, I kind of left the school I was at. I didn't really, you know, like the school I was at. So when I came home, I still was like, how could I make everybody proud of me? What can I do? Because they all saw greatness in me. My family knew that, you know, I had something and I was going to be something special. Yeah. And it kind of pushed me into the animals. Yeah. You know, and that's where I bought my first dog on like an impulse buy. Yeah. And I was in college in my dorm room for maybe like a year and a half. Yeah. Talking to my roommate, I was like, bro, when I get out of school, I'm gonna get a dog. You see how this guy got this dog trained? Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna be like that one day. Yeah. End up getting my dog. Didn't really think nothing of it. Started teaching him things. By the time he was 4 or 5 months, I take him out in public. People will look at him and, why does your dog act like that? What do you mean? You act like a dog. Yeah. It was like, no, he listens so well. I spent a lot of time with him. Yeah. And before you know it, you know, people was asking me, hey, do you train for other people? And I'm like, I haven't, but I can try. So years go by. I may have trained close to 100 dogs locally. That's awesome. And I went viral a few times with videos and things like that. But my roommate at the time, you know, he messaged me and he was like, I remember we was sitting in the dorm and you said you was gonna do it and you doing it. And the guy that I actually watched those years that I was in my dorm room just watching the videos, reach out to me. He called me whenever I randomly give me a call, I can call him, he pick up. I talk to him very frequently now. Yeah. But yeah, those losses kind of made me want to push myself and be a better version. You know, I always told my family, my grandma, that's my heart. You know, I told her I was going to take care of her one day, so that's my goal, still my goal to this day.
And it's something as simple as like and this happened this past year too. Like, I was afraid to be there for anything, and especially, but I held it with great respect. Like getting married, having a dog, any other kind of like taking on somebody's care. I put it, and again, you couldn't really gauge it, but I was like making it the end of the world if I didn't help this person. Yeah. I got to put everything in it to where
You lose yourself.
We got a dog this past year, dude, and it has like changed my life to where I was like, you know what, I think I can be a father. I can take care of things beyond like myself, because there was a deep seated insecurity that I had. Where'd it come from? I don't know. It ain't, but I know now it's not mine. It's stuff that attached to me along the way, along the journey. But again, they're all blessings, and seeing your example and hearing your story. Yeah, and seeing what you're doing, and again, you said what you're gonna do, and you're doing it. And now the guy that you looked up to, you know what I mean, and to where it's like, man, that's
the power. The power in the tongue is a powerful thing.
It's a real thing, man.
That's why these conversations are important. They really are, and don't just undersell you. Like, what kind of dogs we training? It's a very diverse style of dogs as you train. Anything
from a Chihuahua to a I got a Tibetan Mastiff.
Oh damn, that's a cool
yeah.
dog.
So that's something that's one of the biggest dogs that you can get. It's not the biggest, some bigger, but he up there in size. Yeah, he's a year old.
Yeah,
coming up on 2, maybe 130 pounds. And he's just a baby. He's still got a lot to do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What was your first dog?
My first dog.
And trained like.
First dog I got and trained.
Yeah, the first dog you bought in college.
It was a little bit after college, but he is an American Bully. So when I got him, I knew the stereotype that that breed has. Like Quan said, most people see them and they think fighting.
Oh yeah.
And I wanted to change that. So when I got him, I was all about socializing, making everybody love him for him. And I haven't met a person that didn't like that dog. He's the smartest dog. If you met him, he's the smartest dog you've probably ever been around.
And this is not a small dog. When he comes, because again, like I grew up with people that fought dogs, and it was normalized, like to the point when Mike Vick got in trouble. I was like, why he in trouble? What's he doing?
Every day over there.
Like, dry snitch. I'm like, this ain't nothing, So like whenever you see the dog, when he used to come around with this dog, massive ass dog, I'm like, man, hey, watch out with that dog, bro. But KC would be like, you ain't gonna do that. My dog is nice. My dog is good. And kids will come by, whomever will come by, and he'll make sure to like trying to shed that stereotype, And that was one thing that drove me going into healthcare, because I don't look the part.
Yeah.
Like when that was a battle that I dealt with in here that nobody really, even they, like, what you mean, Quan, what you doing? I'm like, no, you got to make sure you go extra a little bit more, because I'm not something that they're expecting whenever they come into a healthcare facility. Mm-hmm. That was a battle that we dealt with a lot that nobody could really necessarily relate to, too.
Yeah.
And also, like, we're changing our identity, because also we've been given the identity as an athlete. Right. And you've all successfully changed that mindset of you're not just the identity of being an athlete that we've given you. You shed that where you're so much more. You being the same thing. Before I jump off into that, one thing I want to know, I want to hit onto, and you may have hit onto it, because I'm gonna call this like the longest short story, because you did that beautifully. Sorry. PTs have the average career length of 5 years. And I would say that is a direct reflection of wear and tear on the psyche. To me, and I could be wrong.
No.
How do you think we could better serve the people that come into this as just trying to ingratiate themselves and help others?
Gotcha.
But they've fallen short because of other things that's impacting the field, which is a competitive field.
Yeah. And if I had to be honest completely right now, it's almost to a point that if I would have had as strong of a faith foundation as I do now going into these things, I think that could help, because that transcends all. And again, I've worked with colleagues that are like, they're rock solid. They can see 18 people a day, and they go home, show up. How are you, man? I'm freaking swimming in paperwork. I'm catching up. I'm worried about so-and-so because this doesn't look good. They're on all these different medications. Their progress isn't where they need to be. All this other kind of dead set anxiety. So, like, again, some of that can be on the person because, again, I burnt out hard. I crashed and burned, brother.
Yeah.
And I was that statistic almost, like 5 years. It's about like 5 years out. Again, I was ready to say, fuck everything.
Yeah.
PT, life, whatever. I had the dreams.
the
I was
exercise, huh?
going to go jump. You know, somebody else, have you ever thought of killing yourself? Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, I'll tell you whatever that may be.
Yeah.
But anyway, backing that up, I think a strong faith foundation. Beyond that, like coming into healthcare, especially here in the United States, I've been blessed to go down and so many rabbit holes when it comes, because again, I care about this stuff a lot. I've seen the podcast, I've listened to the doctors, I've listened to many outlets to try to get a better understanding of what this human body is, along with my personal experiences, along with the experiences of other patients, to see what is possible, what is truthful with a physical therapy rehab, and like what can I actually do for somebody within the system that we work in here. It's generally within the insurance system. It's reimbursement based on volume. So if your clinic isn't set up enough to be profitable, you need a certain amount of flow to it to keep the lights on. And private practice owners like Robbie Ellis, I respect him. And
Roberto.
Shout out, man, because it's difficult. Like the big corporate places that are, again, nationwide, and I've worked for them, and I've worked for other things, and I'm just like, man, this is tough to where it's almost like you gotta get as many people in, get as many people out. It's difficult to operate as a private practice and not hold a standard and hang a hat solely on rehab just because to keep the lights on, you got to see so many people. You got to, you know what I mean, see, because just insurance reimburses based on volume. And again, it's been cut. I think Medicare's in the past, like 5 years, like 11% cut, something like that, to where it's just like, we don't really value this therapy thing too much. And we continue to kind of like see cuts in different areas, and insurances, like some insurance hadn't changed reimbursement in 10, 15 years. I know the price of eggs have changed a whole lot in 10, 15 years, but you're telling me the same rate, you're giving me the same Therex code, and you're giving me the same thing. It's like, what is going on here, right? And so operating in that model, but it's not everywhere. And so like across, the world, if you look at New Zealand, Australia, a lot of the Finnish countries, Sweden, Norway, the European countries, Japan, a lot of their healthcare systems are reimbursed by outcome. Like, so if people are doing better and they're not requiring as much care, then certain facilities and certain clinics are going, hey, you're actually doing something that's different and that's working, and this is help hindering future costs down the road. We're going to support you, and we're actually going to, get more people to you. You know what I mean? Like, I've taken a lot of courses, McKenzie diagnosis and theory courses. I sat for the exam last year, passed the written, failed the other part, so I got to retake it.
We're gonna get there.
Like
You
most
got
things.
it.
Hey,
Yeah,
man,
we're
we're
gonna
going to
get
get there. It'll
With
be
faith.
all right. I usually take 2 times. PT school took twice.
Yeah.
Most things, college sports, all that other kind of stuff.
Say it out loud, man. Let
I
'em
need
know.
2 whacks at things. I gotta run into it head first and then kind of figure out where to go. But anyway, seeing some of like the research that comes from some of those models, and again, there's certain research documents I can't uphold. I think it was in Sweden that just a McKenzie clinic helped to decrease costs or decrease the prevalence of surgeries by like 50% in a community, to where they're like, wait a minute, why are we cutting on people so much less, and why is people's outcomes, and they're not complaining of these same things anymore? It's like, well, there's got to be something going on over there. And in those scenarios, and again, Sweden's a much smaller country. It's not the United States. USA, love
Yes,
it.
indeed.
But it's kind of like a different, model to work in. So like, I mean, I feel like tons of clinicians come in and I almost like try to big brother and be like, look, make sure life at home is good. Make sure that, things, and also too, errors to myself, I let my career come first before God and before my family. And that's something that that's a big mistake.
Yeah.
You can't let anything do that. That's a priority issue, and that's a me issue, and that's a problem. And that's where I think a lot of my failures in the past kind of got muddied up. But again, you go to school, you're this doctor, they give you the white coat, you got all this authority, this, that, and the third. Go work 40 hours a week, seeing patients every, and that's not counting documentation. That's not talking all these other things. So by the end of 5 years, people are turned into robots. Medicare or Blue Cross Blue Shield or United just billing machines, to where there's somebody in front of them But for them to get home to their kids or get home to their family or get home to whatever it may be, it's all right. I need to get these computer tabs knocked out before.
Gotta get
what's
through
your
the
name?
day. Yeah.
Your shoulder good? Oh, you feeling okay? All right. Here we go. Which again, I feel, and again, like there's a balance of it. But at the end of the day, you can only do so much. But like valuing the human experience, valuing the person that's sitting in front of you, that's challenged in how we're seeing healthcare day in, day out. And it's the same thing for doctors. And like there's a lot of angst between different professions and orthos and PTs and this and that. And like, what are you doing for the profession? What are you doing? At the end of the day, we're all just billing insurance. But like who's helping or trying to help? And so, but also too, all doctors and a lot of healthcare workers, nurses, OTs, PTs, whoever's trying to like help people, they're just not set up for success in a lot of scenarios to where, again, it takes the person themselves to kind of, hey, let me balance, let me juggle this while I'm talking to you. And again, it's still possible to have good outcomes and provide good care, but it's not like the easiest thing in the world. And again, I mean, that's my opinion. Not saying it's right, but that's an observation from 8 years of practicing in 3 different states, in Colorado, Florida, and over here in Mississippi, since 2020. And it's tough, man, because I think human life, I care about. I love people. They're blessings. Y'all are blessings. You've helped shape me and be like, you know what? Maybe if Quan got married, he's strong. We both like to work out. Yeah. Maybe I can get married one day. And I've always respected you for that because I see how you interact with people and you value the person right in front of you more so than the computer screen, because that's what they're telling me to do. But again, you look in that good book, sometimes there's going to be distractions. There's going to be things where the zeitgeist is telling you to respect or observe something different or to put your priorities into something. And it's just like, no. You know what I mean? Like, people are important. I feel like there always will be. Technology is amazing. We can have a conversation. People all over the world can hear it now. That's wild. And again, it makes me kind of feel, I've never done this. This is crazy. But
man.
It's a beautiful thing to where it's like, hey, you actually have the ability to connect more across so many platforms to where, again, is this just like, for us, we're in the boat. We're all in the same thing. I can touch it. We're here. This is reality. But sometimes and myself included, I get sucked up into too many podcasts, too much social media, too many other kind of distractions to where my naive human brain is now just consumed with all kinds of other stuff, whether it's work and charts and paperwork and EMR or Instagram mountain bike videos. I love that shit. I can sit there and that thing knows I love them and it gives me the coolest ones and I can just keep on looking at them or fishing or whatever else to where it can keep me from connecting with you, connecting with Casey, connecting with my wife and actually having a conversation. The best conversations come up whenever you got nothing to talk about. Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing because we'll be sitting there like 10 minutes and all of a sudden you're like, well, what do you think? And again, that's allowed us to like get closer to, to God and the important things and like, or each other and to kind of build our relationship to where I'm like, man, I'm excited to wake up tomorrow. I'm excited for the next day to come. I'm excited to Lord willing, have a family one day and have some kids and be a father. That same thing used to make my skin crawl because I wasn't enough. I was insecure. I was whatever it may be, but it doesn't have to be the case.
Man playing and God laughs, bro.
Hey, man.
Man playing and God laughs. I say that stuff so much, so often to people. Casey, you sound like you had something to put in there when he was talking about.
Yeah, I lost it. I did have something, but I did want to say I know one of the things Quan helped me out through. A few situations. I reached out to him. I was like, man, my head just not right, and it's something that he told me. What did you tell me?
I be saying a lot.
Oh, I got it. No, I got it right here. Matter of fact, let me help. It's been my screensaver.
Oh man, baby.
Hold on. Let me see if I can find it.
Hey,
it's helping me out too, bro.
Dude.
Every conversation we ever had.
Don't let the devil win. Just know the toughest battles are for his strongest soldiers. This here will only mold you into the man that you're ultimately supposed to become.
I meant that shit.
I put that as my screensaver on my phone and as my watch, and I got up every morning and I read that. Quan got me through a pretty tough time at one point in my life.
Bruh, I don't know. I ain't gonna cry about you. I ain't gonna cry. I'm gonna get out of here.
You gonna cry?
I ain't about to cry.
I kind of
give me a little tear.
It's the ability, and that's with the last question, like connection creates culture. and how that isn't so important, man, for whether your journey is your journey, healthcare, just zigging when you expect it to zag. You know what I'm saying? Because like we look a certain part, but it's not that. It's we have so much more depth. You know what I'm saying? Like we're changing the way of yesteryear's culture.
Yeah, with Cash, one of the first things somebody said, this guy got a dangerous, vicious dog. My dog, he's a service animal, so I can take him anywhere. Yeah. And I had him somewhere, and a lady stopped one of the workers and was like, "It's a guy over there with a dangerous, vicious dog," and it's because of how I look and the type of dog he is.
Yeah.
And the guy walked up to me and he asked me, he was like, "Hey, someone stopped me saying you got a vicious dog in here. He look vicious to you?" And he looked at him and he was like, "No." I said, "He not even looking at you." And I guarantee whoever told you that, he didn't even look at them when they walked past us. Mm-hmm. So I don't see how they could say he was dangerous or vicious or anything of the sort. Yeah. It's because of who I am and
an outward appearance that don't mean shit. And it's like
no, yeah, it's bro. You set it up perfectly because you was going through struggles that's more relatable to stuff I've seen. I didn't know that whenever you were telling me like that journey, bro. But I know this story.
But it's easy to. What do you mean? I went to
this.
St. Stanislaus. I went to this thing, and again, like that was the duality of the scenario. It was like going to school with these dudes that were going like, I'm going in these houses that were like, "Hey, you want to come to a birthday party?" I'm like, "What the fuck? This is nuts. This is like craziest house ever." And again, like I said, we always lived on military housing for the most part. We had my dad, passed away as an officer, and it was only like after he passed away, we had nice, and I was like, "Fuck this house." Like, and again, I was glad Katrina kind of came because it was just kind of like remolded things to. But also, I mean, again, the other stuff, like see my mom in a tough spot, which she's the strongest woman I ever seen. She transcended. She was, down in a bad spot for about 10 years, but dude, worked 2 jobs, now owns a house again after being, declaring bankruptcy and having everything kind of turned upside down, which I know there's a lot of stories where, again, I talk to patients all the time and where it's just like, this reality could be much different in another given set of situations or different people involved. So, like, again, I love my mom so much, and her example has been super powerful. And even, too, the 9 years, 8 months I had with my dad, he was a good man. He's a good man. He brought so much love into that house. He kept so much darkness away from it. He didn't drink. He didn't beat us. He didn't yell at us. He wasn't hot-tempered. He was a military strong dude, and everybody respected him. But when he came home, he chose love, and he made sure that we were in a good spot. So I didn't know anything else from my father. I just knew that life can happen sometimes real quick, and you're not ready for it, and it can take some turns, and it can zig, and it can zag, but it's just like it's a beautiful thing.
How you respond to it,
and put on the right lenses.
Yeah.
They're blessings. But again, that's a struggle for everybody to kind of observe and see, and you get there in different ways. And again, just glad to share it in any kind of way that I could.
We appreciate it. But if it was any parting words you would like to tell anyone out there that may have had some of those troubles, don't know the right way to go about it, and they could go through, because my pastor said, like, no one says that you don't just sit in hell. Like, it's just it's active, you going through it, but you got to go through it, and like all storms pass. Yes. So if someone's out there in a storm, is it anything you can say to help them polish through that, or just like push through that?
That's a good question, man. Because like I said, it's unique to everybody and to them alone. But like, surrendering, man. Like, you can't. It's not all on you. It's not. So like, again, I would go to PT school. It's like, I'm gonna fix all these problems, and my mom and my brother. That's, again, he got real loud and angry. I got freaking silent and like isolated. Like that was my kind of scenario. And I saw my mom's financial problems, and I saw what we used to have, and I'm like, I'm gonna fix this with this career. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna get this doctor. There ain't no career that's gonna fix those things, man. And like being honest with yourself. So maybe reflect. Have the honest, hard conversations with yourself. It's gonna bring up tears. It's gonna bring up rage. It's gonna bring up like some stuff. But again, Those things are necessary, and all things are possible through your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And that's where I'm so blessed that at least, you know what, the good Lord knew some tough things were going to come. But he picked our family. This happened. He passed when we were in Rolla, Missouri. They called it Fort Lost in the Woods because it was out in the hills of Missouri. And it was a tough scenario. And I learned a lot of other bad patterns. And I could elaborate. But anyway, time's sake, he plucked us up. He put us down here in one of the most beautiful places God, I think, created is Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, where the sun rises over the water every morning. We got like beach. Again, it's easy to kind of be like, it's Mississippi. The water's not blue. It's not like Florida. I'm glad because it kind of keeps it peaceful. You know what I mean? And he put us in a really, really good spot to have the things that we need. And I went to public school all the time until we moved down here. And at least I had somewhat of a foundation to where whenever I'd made the choice as a man to go back into church and actually like see those things, or seek God and actually work my faith muscle from the inside. Just like I would throw myself at other things. I'm throwing myself at the Lord and at his feet, and I'm on my knees. But it wasn't too unfamiliar. So at least some of the seeds were planted way back. I didn't even know what was going on when I was a freshman. When I was in high school, I'd go in and make the sign of the cross. We'd go to church because we had to. We had to wear ties on those days. I didn't really get it. I wasn't there, but at least it was there. And then having strong men around me and strong friends, good influences like yourself. I'm blessed to have had like 4 friends from high school experience that I call brothers, and a few of them I call saints in my life. Like,
that's awesome.
I got St. Abe out there, St. James. That dude's picked me up. He drove my ass to rehab. He's always believed in me whenever I had no belief in myself. But like, if I wasn't at that school in that scenario, and something that you asked me 5 years ago, I was like, yeah, it was a waste of fucking money. Like, what do you mean? That school is expensive. It's like, oh, they're all hoity-toity, this is that, and that. No, man. Like, I'm blessed to have at least gone there to where getting back to my faith is possible. So it might be an uncle that you looked up to that like kind of planted some good seeds in your head. Yeah. It might even be a brother. It might be a grandma. It might be your mother. It might be a father. It might be a stranger you meet on the street. But like sometimes the best way to look in is by seeing good examples. But the one thing that in our world today, there's tons of examples. Not all of them are good. Not all of them are bad either. It's just like it takes your own kind of discernment. And so there's one quote. C.S. Lewis wrote this book. He in it says, when it comes to virtuous things, sometimes experience is the mother of despair. Yep. So breaking the chain of bad habits, like seeing just because my dad did it this way, I'm going to do it this way. Or just because, now when it comes to building a house, when it comes to doing something that's kind of black and white, yeah, dude, experiences, having somebody that's been there before is always going to help out. But when it comes to doing right and wrong, or doing the things that you need to do, that's a conversation between yourself and God. And that's the only way to try to look. So be honest with yourself and look at you know what I mean? Examine yourselves. The good, bad, ugly. Don't look at the good stuff. Don't move in only the good ways you know how to move. Yeah. I blew my back up in high school, and that was an injury that I kind of was like, man, I was only doing back squats because I was strong at it. I hated doing deadlifts because I wasn't as good as it. My squat total was higher than my deadlift. I was all out of whack. Like, I didn't understand this. It led to a pretty significant spinal injury to where I was like, man, I'm glad that injury happened because I need to apply that to my emotions. I need to apply that to my decision making. I need to apply that to like how I am as a man to find a decent balance. But like I said, sometimes it comes to you falling on your face, but like it's necessary, bro.
What's that saying you always say about the mountain, Quan?
Oh man, yeah. So we always tell God how big this mountain is. We'll never tell the mountain how big our God is.
Amen, brother.
There we go. Yeah. And you want to end up, you got something to say on that one? Is there anybody out there?
I would say have someone to vent to.
Have someone. Always lean on, yeah.
Because if you're able to talk out your feelings and talk out your emotions, sometimes it helps a lot. I was the type to hold a lot in, and I would help everybody else with their problems, but kind of keep mine bottled up, and eventually it's gonna wear and tear on you and on the inside, and you ain't gonna be able to control it. Yeah. So I think that's one of the most important things is just having somebody to talk to when you need them.
My man, good people helping good people. All right, so that's how we're going to end it. This has been Savage Mountain Podcast, and we'll catch you on the next run.